It's time to put the urethane primer on the 280Z. Hey guys, welcome back to BLOKgarage. I'm Brian, and if you haven't been paying attention, this is my Datsun 280Z that we have done a ton of rust repair on, ton of bodywork, and it's finally time to do the urethane primer. So it's got epoxy primer on everything. It's got polyester filler primer on all of the exterior panels, which most are off of the car, as you can see. But we have block sanded this thing down, so it is as straight as I'm going to get it. We need to seal that up, which means we need to put some urethane primer on the car. That's what we're going to do today. Everything that you see is going to get 2 to 3 layers of urethane primer to get it ready to once again block sand the car so that we can paint it. Now, one thing that we need to do before that is, as you can see, there are some areas where we went down to bare metal while doing body filler here in the engine bay. And while we were block sanding the car, I went through in a handful of areas, and we need to cover those in epoxy right before we actually cover it in urethane primer. So that is the plan right now. Areas like this here, we've gone down to bare metal. We are going to come in here. We are going to shoot it with a layer of epoxy. We are going to wait for a half an hour because that's what Eastwood says in their TDS that you need to wait before top coating. We'll wait that half an hour, and then we'll come back and we will do the whole car in the urethane primer. So what I've got here, this is my epoxy primer from Eastwood. It's all DTM, direct to metal. That's what you need to do to seal up the bare metal so that you have less chance of it rusting underneath everything. The polyester filler primer is not a sealer and it can absorb moisture, so we need to cover that, or we need to not have that or the urethane primer directly on the bare metal. Neither of those are made for bare metal. And then the urethane primer is used to seal up all over any body filler or any of the polyester filler primer, which is essentially just sprayable body filler, before we put our base coat on. And then once we get it on, we will block sand it down to 400 grit before the base coat goes on. So that's where we're at today. We're going to jump right in, and we're going to do that quick little bit of epoxy primer so that we can then get our urethane primer on. So let's do that right now. Now, I don't need much at all of this epoxy primer because we've just got a little bit we got to cover. My mixing cup here, this is 1:1. So I think I'm just going to go with 1 unit, which is, well, like 3 ounces, it looks like. Maybe a little less. That should be plenty. Honestly, it's probably going to be more than we need. But we're going to do that. I've already mixed this up. Right about there. And we're going to need to do some of this epoxy on the rest of the panels too, the hood and doors and stuff like that. So we need to save a little bit for that, but I've got plenty left. This is the activator. Dimension is 1:1, so we got to pour the equal amount of this in. We'll mix this up good. So now that's ready to go, and we are just about ready to spray. All right, I got my fan going, so we got airflow in here blowing out. We got a window open over there, so we got airflow in because we need to make sure we have enough oxygen in here to properly allow the solvents to flash off. So let's get these real quick. We'll get the major let's get these real quick. We'll get the major engine bay ones first, and then we will hit up the little spots we got to do outside of the engine bay. I think I'm going to roll underneath it, actually. Now let's see if I can remember everything that we need to get. We got a little bit here. There, a little bit there. I don't think there's anything up here. Oh, it's going to be tough spraying underneath that. I didn't anticipate that. And when we spray color, I might have to pick the car up off the ground. This is a bit low back here. I thought it'd be a little bit easier. All right, that looks like it. We're gonna let that sit for a half an hour. And I've got plenty left in here, I think. Oh yeah, I got tons left. That's all right. We'll come back in a half an hour and work on our urethane. All right, it's been 40-ish minutes. And I believe we're all set to go. This was one spot we hit. It's nice and ready to go. I think what we're gonna do is, since the engine bay is annoying and I got to get underneath it and all that stuff, I think I'm going to start in the engine bay, work my way out, and then we'll do back here. Generally, actually, you know what? Generally, you're supposed to, according to the way I've been taught, is since our airflow is going from here this way, you should start the closest to your exhaust fan, because let's say you spray up here, you're obviously going to have overspray and it's going to move that way. If it comes back here and lands on bare surface with no paint already on it, no wet paint, you'll have like a dry, it'll be dry, it won't be, I don't know if it makes like a bump or whatever, but it will already be partially dry by the time it hits. If you start here and it's obviously wet back here as you move forward, then when you're spraying up here, your overspray will come back and hit a spot that's wet and just blend in. So I probably ought to start back. I don't know if it's going to matter with the epoxy or the urethane primer, but it does matter with the color, and I might as well do it the right way for practice. So we'll probably start at the back, hit the sides, hit the roof, probably the rocker, everywhere. Well, I'll probably go up here, out here, get in the engine bay because I got to get right underneath it, spray everything in there, and then get up here. The engine bay just makes everything annoying. It's really hard to spray, and especially really hard to spray in the interior. Luckily, I'm not doing that today, but we will be soon. Anyways, yeah, that's the plan right now. So I got to get some of the urethane primer mixed up. It's just 4-to-1. This one, not 1-to-1 like the epoxy primer. This is 4-to-1, so 4 parts of this, 1 part of activator. At 70 degrees, which we're 77 right now. It's a little high, and 42% humidity, so humidity is pretty low. We should be good to go. Yeah, I'm going to get that mixed up, and then we will start spraying. Yeah, this is definitely going to be tough getting underneath there, but I'll do my best.
There we go. We're going to wait 10 to 15 minutes and then we can do a second coat.
Oh, all right, guys. 2 coats on there. That should be enough. According to at least the TDS, it says 2 coats, so that's what we did. We definitely got good coverage on everything now. That first coat, the gun wasn't spraying a full pattern. I didn't realize that. It felt like it wasn't spraying as much paint as it should, but I just kept going. I must have got it cleaner before the second coat because it sprayed way better the second coat, and I used a ton more primer. So the first coat, like I said, it wasn't using as much, and I used, what I did is the first fill I did all the way, well, we're on 4. I filled it to 5, so 5 and then up to 5 with the activator. And then I had to I mixed up 2 more, so I mixed up 2 units, whatever these come out to. I don't know what it is, but I did 5 the first time, 2 the second time, just to finish off here. And so 7 total. Now this second coat, I basically almost doubled that. I got through the roof and finished off the first 5. The second full mix of 5, I got almost done in the engine bay. I just hadn't done the firewall here, so I quickly mixed up another 2 and finished off that back of the front, not the firewall, the core support. Finished off the back of the core support and then did the front. So I used 12 total for the second coat. So it definitely was spraying better and a lot more the second coat. I'm not sure why. Must have been, something must have been plugged. I don't know. It sprayed fine when I did the epoxy. Maybe I just didn't get it 100% clean. Not sure. It does not matter now because this thing is fully coated. It is one uniform color. It definitely needs to be sanded. There's texture to it, just like there is with that the polyester filler primer that we did, and I'm looking, and it looks like there is still some tiger striping. Yeah, there's a bit of tiger striping on the roof there. So hopefully I do a better job once we get to the paint. But I got plenty of practice left because we need to do the hood, fenders, doors, hatch, cowl, and then some little pieces like the inspection covers, the gas door, I feel like the headlight buckets. So we still got to do that. So that's what's coming up next. Going to reassemble the car. I got to put this, it's really annoying, but I have to take the suspension off each time because I was stupid and decided I wanted to paint the bottom of the front frame rails the same color. That I had them black. I decided when I was doing the engine bay before, when I epoxied the engine bay, I wanted to make the bottom of the front frame rails the same color. Stupid idea, but can't do anything about it now. So I had to take the front suspension off and put it back on to move the car in and out. It's not a big deal, it's just extra work. So anyways, where I'm going with that is, in the morning I'll probably throw the front suspension back on, roll the car out, and we'll get the other stuff in here hanging up so we can spray it. That's the plan right now. If it changes, you'll find out in just a second. Oh, real quick, I just wanted to mention that spraying that engine bay absolutely sucks because I got to climb in and out from underneath it to get in there because I don't want to try and climb up over the top with wet paint and stuff like that, get it dirty, you know, anything like that. So I'm thinking it's a bit much. It's quite a bit to try and do this whole thing, including the engine bay all at once. You know, I don't know, I guess it's not that bad. But I'm wondering if maybe I ought to spray the engine bay separately, basically do the engine bay on the interior when I go to paint it, and let it dry. You know, just get that done basically. Maybe do, actually, I don't know if I wanted that. Because if I did the paint and the clear in there, then I gotta mask that off when I do the exterior. Although I could do, I think it'd be more work. So yeah, we'll probably do it just like we just did it here. If somebody else has any tips or anything like that, better idea when I go to spray this, because when we do the color and the clear, it's going to be done just like this right now. You know, and everything else is going to be separate. You know, just same idea as this. So if you think maybe I should spray the base separate from the exterior, I don't know. If you got any tips, let me know, any ideas. But yeah, tomorrow we should be spraying some more stuff. Hey guys, next day, and the garage looks completely different, right? Car's outside. I've got all of my panels hung up in here. Well, not quite all of them. I got all of them except for the little stuff. I don't have like the headlight buckets, the hood inspection covers, and the gas door. I didn't have enough room. I can get those at some other points. But we are ready to throw some urethane primer on all this stuff. I have already gone around and hit up the spots with the bare metal on these panels with the epoxy primer. Just random spots that got sanded down. So we're good to go there. All we got to do now, spray the urethane primer. So let's get to that.
All right, so I'm trying using out my disposable cups that I got before. It's got liners in there that are disposable. I tried this way back the first time I used it, and for some reason I didn't like it. But I'm going to try again because it is a pain cleaning all this stuff after, you know, especially these cups. I waste so much of this lacquer thinner trying to clean these out. It's not worth it. It's more economical to just use the disposable liners than keep having to use all that lacquer thinner. Okay, so we got the gun all set up. Now, we are not doing the backs of all the panels. We're going to do the back of the hood, the back of the doors, and the back of the hatch, but I'm not doing the back of the fenders or the cowl panel because they're not going to be seen. We've got everything wiped down. We are good to go. That's the only thing with using these cups, they're smaller, so I gotta mix up more often. But we can do it. And we just ran out of the third cup, so that's the first coat. We got 10 to 15 minutes, and I don't know as I have enough to do another, well, I definitely don't have enough to do another coat on every panel. Yeah. So, we're going to have to wait. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to pull all these down once they're dry, put them back in the barn, put the car back in here, and then pull them all back out once I get the other gallon. For whatever reason, I only ordered a gallon of this. I have no idea why, but that's what I've got. I've got to order some more paint or primer, and we'll finish these up.
All right, guys, we're probably going to end this one off here. Like I said, I don't have enough primer left to do a second coat on everything, so I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to bother recording it. I'm just going to get it done. It's going to take a couple days for it to get here anyway. So I'm going to do that. We'll get a second coat on everything. Unfortunately, that means like I said, I have to move everything back from the garage, back to the barn, just so I can put the car back in the garage. But whatever, it is what it is. It's not like I haven't done a ton of extra work for no reason at this point anyway. So, few thoughts. For whatever reason, when I'm spraying the primer, it keeps collecting on the tip, and then it'll come off in a little spurt. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe just because it's a cheap gun. I'm hoping, I really need that to not happen with the color and the clear, obviously. So if anybody has any idea of why that happens, I've got maybe I need to turn the air pressure up. I've got it says 25 to 30, I've got it like 28. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I'm hoping that, it doesn't really matter at this point because it's all going to get sanded. So those little spots will come out, but I don't want it happening when I get to the color and the clear. So if anybody has any ideas, it collects on like the ears where the air pressure shoots out. And like I said, it just comes off in a little clump every once in a while. I noticed it yesterday when I was doing the car, and I just noticed it again today while I was doing these panels. So I know that's what's happening because I got to clean quite a bit of the primer off of the ears of the tip of the gun. So yeah, anybody knows, let me know. I really like using the disposable cups with the liners. Way better than having to clean the cups after that. Is a pain, and it wastes a ton of that lacquer thinner. So I'm going to get some probably bigger cups with disposable liners, just so I don't have to keep mixing it during painting. It's not a big deal right now, but I'd rather avoid that when I'm doing the color and the clear. Anything else? I've got a bunch more sanding to do. We're just going from 240 up to 400 on the whole car. It doesn't really need to be smooth now. I'm going to block sand it, but I really need to make sure I don't go through the urethane primer into the polyester primer, because that defeats the whole purpose. So it's going to get, it's going to get smoothed out to 400 so we can spray the color on it. But I'm probably not going to record any of that because you've seen me sanding enough, and I just want to get it done. So the next video should be spraying the base color. At least that's the plan right now. And I was just thinking, I was avoiding spraying the urethane primer on the back side of those panels and in the interior of the car because I wanted to try and make that gallon last. But if I have to buy more paint anyway, if I just get another gallon, I could definitely spray the backs of those panels so that it's the same. Not that it really matters though. Maybe I'll just do the interior. I don't know. I'll think about it. Yeah, but I gotta go order that paint, and because I'm at a standstill now. Although I could start sanding the car, and maybe I will do that. But for now, we are done. I need to get some more primer, and yeah, that's where we're at. So let me know what you guys think. It's really fun to paint. I'm enjoying the actual process of the painting. It's just everything leading up to that sucks. So, you know, 90% of the work is in all of the prep, all of the sanding, you know, the metal repair, the sanding, the filler work, cleaning everything every time you get to paint, getting everything set up, taping stuff off, masking stuff off. It just, the actual physical act of painting the car is good. Everything up to that sucks. So anyways, that's where we're at. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.